Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at Invest 98L, which could potentially become Tropical Storm Faye here, which would be impacting parts of the East Coast with some heavy rainfall and also some breezy and gusty winds at times. We're going to be going over that. My official forecast track for this, and also I did actually make my very own hurricane intensity guidance map, and that's the first time I've ever used that map on my channel, and I'll probably be introducing it a little bit more with the with more coming tropical storms. I had this map kind of saved up for a while, so I went in, I drew up my intensity guidance map, and you'll see that at the end of the video, along with my or my tropical storm track for Invest 98L. We also have potential Hurricane Christina, which could potentially become Category 2 or Category 3 at the high end of things here. And on the low end, probably a Category 1 or a high end Category 1. So we do have quite a bit going on. We already have Edward, which is currently post-tropical, and it's no longer on the National Hurricane Center's radar. And we also have a couple more areas to watch with some potential tropical disturbance. Now, also something I want to point out, I have already finished working on the maps for my first preliminary fall forecast, and this is going to be going for the year 2020. So from September 1st to November 30th, I'm gonna be going over my temperature anomalies, my precipitation anomaly forecast, and also my overall forecast at the end of the video. So that is going to be coming out on July 10th, and my winter forecast is going to be coming out on July 15th. I'll be updating these I see a need to as these sort of things change, because of course a lot of things are going to change between now and the start of fall and also the start of winter. So I will be updating these as I find fit. So here is the current National Weather Service page, and then we're going to start looking at your tropical disturbances. Red flag warnings for parts of Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, and a lot of Wyoming there. We also have some excessive heat warnings in effect for parts of Southern California and Southern Arizona. And then we have some flood watches throughout parts of Louisiana and Mississippi, and then also for South Carolina and northeasternmost Georgia. We also have some heat advisories for parts of around Detroit, and then also for around parts of upstate New York near Buffalo and Syracuse there. So that's where we have most of your heat advisories. And we had a very, very warm day for the east yesterday, and that's going to be continuing and lingering on into today. And that's why you have so many excessive heat warnings, heat advisories, all of that throughout the United States. Now, here is your current Atlantic 5-day graphical outlook here from the National Hurricane Center. Here's Invest 98L has a 20% chance of developing between the next 48 hours, and also within the next 5 days we have a 40% chance of development. I think that's quite low. I think it's pretty much certain that this will develop into a tropical depression at least, but we really don't know whether this will become a tropical storm. I will tell you, it has become a little bit more likely from yesterday that this will become a tropical storm. So we have a little bit more certainty in that. Now here is your Eastern Pacific, and we have your first disturbance. We'll go to the one furthest to the west there, which has a 20% chance of developing within the next 48 hours, and within the next 5 days we have a 30% chance of development. And then for that disturbance further to the east, we have a near 0% chance of development within the next 48 hours and a 30% chance within the next 5 days. Now, these are the National Hurricane Center numbers, and then also we have Tropical Storm Christina, which soon will be Hurricane Christina, which would be the first hurricane we've seen in the Central or Eastern Pacific or even the Atlantic this entire season. Now, here is your Central Pacific and what it has. We have a near 0% chance of development for this disturbance south of Hawaii within the next 48 hours, and a 10% chance within the next 5 days of development. Now, also something I want to know, potential Hurricane Christina here could impact parts of Hawaii, and actually a lot of models are showing that, and it would be a Category 1 or Category 2 at that point. So if you do know anybody who lives in Hawaii, definitely notify them that they might potentially be impacted with some sort of tropical disturbance, and I'm going to be talking about that in just one moment. So Here is currently where Christina is. Now here's a infrared loop of tropical storm Christina, and you do see we have quite a bit of convection on both sides of the storms. This is one of the first storms this year that we've seen convection on both sides, and this is your infrared. This is showing you how cold your cloud tops are. The colder and the more intense and vibrant these colors, that indicates the stronger that these storms are, or these thunderstorms are, and that in turn means that you have a stronger tropical system. And we do have quite a strong tropical system. This has the potential to become maybe even our first major hurricane of the Eastern Pacific, Central Pacific, or Atlantic hurricane season. So that is something that we have to take into consideration with this storm. Now, it is at 102 degrees west and about 12 degrees north or so. Now, here is the current track from the National Hurricane Center, and you see it is going to continue moving westward and then move northwestward. It should strengthen into some sort of hurricane by 7 p.m. Wednesday, and this would be central day or this would be central daylight time, I believe. Actually, no, this would be Pacific Daylight Time. Now, this is going to be going into tropical storm status as we head past about 7 a.m. Saturday, potentially even strengthening again after that. We'll have to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if this maybe by the time we get to about Thursday or Friday, maybe even Saturday, is some sort of major hurricane. And a major hurricane, if you're not aware, is at about is once you get to Category 3 status or higher. So Category 3, Category 4, or Category 5, all classified technically as a major hurricane. Now, here's your wind speed probabilities of seeing a tropical storm, and of course, we already have 80 to 90% probabilities of that, and currently it is a tropical storm. Now, here is your 50 knot wind speed probabilities or 58 mile per hour wind speed probabilities, and we have 40 to 50% chance over parts just southwest of central Mexico there. And then here's your hurricane force wind speed probabilities, and we have a 30 to 40% chance of that occurring, and again, southwest of Mexico there. And then you start to see kind of a curve. That is where we could potentially see it start to move further and further to the west and potentially impact parts of Hawaii. Now, here are your tracks from these models. Now, this is your main model guidance, and you see most of them having a pretty good consensus on where this is actually going to track. Now, here's your GEFS models and what they're showing in terms of where this could track, and it's pretty much the same story there. And then here is your GEPS storm tracks, and this is when you start to get Hawaii into the picture right over here, over my mouse cursor, and you see about, I would say, probably 1 out of 3 of these GEPS models or the Canadian models are showing this impacting parts of northern and central Hawaii, and really all of Hawaii is pretty much in the bullseye for this. So we'll definitely have to keep a close eye on this, and I'll definitely issue updates if this does look like it will potentially impact parts of Hawaii within the next coming days. Now, here is your European ensemble model guidance, and you see most of them, they don't go far enough out for most of them, but you could kind of imagine that most of these would actually also hit Hawaii, or at least come close to hitting parts of Hawaii there. Here is your intensity guidance, and this is probably the most frightening thing out of this entire storm, is this intensity guidance. This could go all the way from a tropical storm at about the next 2 days to all the way within the next 72 hours, so within a 24-hour time frame, potentially becoming a Category 3 or a high-end Category 2. Most of the models bring this to a high-end tropical or a high-end Category 1, and most of these actually bring it to a lower to medium level Category 2, and two of these models actually bringing this to a high-end Category 3, almost a Category 4. So if this were to develop, the intensity of the highest intensity would be over the ocean, but as it starts to impact parts of Hawaii, it would be most likely somewhere at the lower end of this, and it would probably be right around this tropical storm status, right around here. So it's not going to impact Hawaii as a Category 3 or Category 4, but it's actually going to impact them probably as a tropical storm or a high-end tropical depression, most likely. Now, here is your current Invest 98L, and this is actually your East Coast storm. We're going to start to transition into this. Now, it's currently over parts of northern Georgia, and it's going to be heading off the coast within the next about 12 to 24 hours. It's going to start heading eastward, and then it'll start kind of curving up the coast, and I'll show you some of that model tracks in just 1 second. So, Here's your model tracks from the main models, and you see most of them passing right through the Outer Banks of North Carolina, eastward, just about 100 miles or so eastward of parts of Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, parts of Long Island, and then it's just clipping parts of Nantucket there in Massachusetts, and then it heads further northeastward and then potentially clipping parts of southeastern Canada or even parts of northeasternmost Maine there. So definitely this could have widespread impact along the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and northeast coasts. Now here is your GEPS tracks, or your Canadian ensemble model tracks, and we have most of these kind of all over the place, but most of these hugging pretty close to the coast here. Now, we do have some fairly warm sea surface temperatures. They're well above average for this time of year, and even though they are above average, they're still not above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is usually what you want to sustain a hurricane or a tropical storm. So we're not at the level where you could really sustain some sort of major system, but it is at the level where you could have some sort of tropical disturbance move up there and still be intensifying very, very slowly. So no rapid intensification, but definitely some gradual intensification. Now, here is your European ensemble model guidance and what it's showing in terms of these storm tracks, and it is again hugging the coastline there. So here is your European model, the base European model, and what it's showing in terms of its precipitation. So this is the actual impacts that you're going to see. So you see it's currently over it's a broad low pressure system over northern Georgia, bringing rain further to the southeast and also to the south of the storm. This would be by tonight, and then as we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening, it's starting to head off the shore of North Carolina, and then it's starting to bring all its energy further to the north. Areas over the northeast and mid-Atlantic are going to start to be impacted with some rainfall by late on Friday night, and then as we get into early on Saturday, that's when you're really seeing the heaviest of rainfall, especially over parts of northern New Jersey, southern upstate New York, through much of southern and eastern New England there, seeing some very, very strong and heavy downpours, and then it'll start to move further east. Wind with this isn't really going to be the biggest factor. I think more of it is going to be the flooding potential with this. Now here's your total rainfall out of this, and you see those areas that got hit with those heavy bands of precipitation could potentially see between 3 and 5 inches of rainfall out of this. Now, it really depends if you're going to be in one of those stronger bands of rainfall, or if you're going to be on just the outlying bands where you could only maybe pick up 1 to 2 inches, or maybe even a little bit less if you don't really get impacted with this storm too much. Now, here is your intensity guidance from the models, and they are bringing this pretty much, I would say half and half of them are bringing this to a tropical storm, but most of them bring it later on in the forecast period to a tropical storm, probably within the next 4 to about 6 days is when it should strengthen into some sort of tropical storm or tropical depression, high end tropical depression. It'll probably become a high end tropical depression by either tomorrow or later on, or earlier on Thursday, mid to late morning on Thursday is when it probably will become some sort of tropical depression. Now, here is my personal forecast for this system, and this is going over the next 5 days until the 12th of July here. Now, it's currently, again, over Georgia, and it's going to be tracking up the East Coast, and this is where the low pressure center could be. So this isn't where the impacts are going to be necessarily. It's not going to be just for this area where the impacts are going to be, but this is really going to be where your storm track is going to track. So areas around this area should also be expecting some sort of rainfall or maybe even some gusty winds out of this. It is going to track up the southeast coast and then also the mid-Atlantic coast. Once it hits probably New Jersey or Delaware is when it starts to get a little bit more tricky, where it could either move eastward as it's starting to get around the effects of this high pressure, which is kind of making the system kind of move north and east, or if this high pressure system is going to move further to the north, which we still have to figure out, this would lead it to move onshore and over parts of Long Island and then through Connecticut, Massachusetts, and that would weaken it as it starts to move over land. If this high pressure, though, is further to the south, this could take a route where it kind of moves further to the north and east, and it would impact areas over eastern New England and also for southeastern Canada a little bit more. Now, here is my intensity guidance, and this is the first time I've ever used this, so I am still experimenting with this a little bit, but it's pretty much what the model track guidance is like, but it's my own forecast. Now I'm keeping this as a tropical depression or some sort of high-end tropical cyclone until we hit about the 72-hour period or within the next 3 days here, and then as it starts to approach the next 4 days or so, as we start to get into the weekend, that's when I think it's going to gradually increase into some sort of low end to mid end tropical storm, and then it should kind of tail down a little bit, but still stay as a tropical storm as we get within the next 5 to about 7 days here in the forecast period. So that is my newest addition to my hurricane graphics, and I hope you guys do like it. If you guys do like it, definitely leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely add this for probably all of my storms, all of these tropical storms that we get. I'll probably make one of these maps just so that you can get a kind of an idea of what I am personally forecasting with these storms. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please stay tuned for and make sure you have your notifications on for my fall forecast, which is going to be on the 10th of July, and my winter forecast, which is going to be on the 15th of July, which actually happens to be my 1 year anniversary on YouTube. So I'm gonna upload that probably as a premiere so you guys can watch it live there, and you'll get my thoughts on what I think the winter is going to actually pan out to be like. So that is going to wrap it up again. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.